Will the Celtics go for Damian Lillard? The Boston Celtics aren't just a team in the NBA, and they aren't just former champions in the league. They are one of the two teams that hold the most NBA titles in history, 17 over 75 years of the professional sport. Lakers are the other one with 17. They are known for legends like Bill Russell, Larry Bird, Paul Pierce, and if things go a certain way, a few members of the current squad could well and truly be a part of that pantheon. The requirement to get in is the same as it was before: win a title, and this offseason, they might try and get a ringer to help with that. So close. There were no victory cigars for the Celtics in the 2021-22 NBA season. They made an inspired run to the NBA Finals, but ultimately came up short against the Golden State Warriors. This summer, they'll go back to the drawing board. Many expect them to pursue a point guard. Unforced turnovers amounted to a death sentence for the Celtics in these finals. Having a floor general who can take care of the ball may have carried them past the Warriors, depending on if a few other things broke their way. Which brings us to one of the best in the NBA right now in the Portland Trail Blazers player, Damian Lillard. Some think he might be what the team needs to get over the hump, get back to the NBA Finals, and win it all. Granted, Damian Lillard would be an ambitious target. Still, if the Celtics could land him, it could revolutionize their odds of going all the way next season. But as in all things, and given that he's not a free agent currently, it'll all come down to the art of the deal. Here are 3 deals that could land Lillard on the Boston Celtics. Trade option number 1. Portland Trail Blazers receive guard forward Jaylen Brown and forward center Daniel Theis. Boston Celtics receive guard Damian Lillard. This feels like the most obvious deal these two sides could make that finds Damian Lillard on the Boston Celtics. Granted, it would be a difficult decision for them to make. It would be fair to say that Jaylen Brown was their best player through the finals. Are they really going to trade a 25-year-old who just delivered that type of performance? Surely they'd have to consider it. Damian Lillard diversifies this group's offense. He can manage the game like a traditional floor general, while also providing floor spacing on a level that only one other player in the league comfortably surpasses. That would be Chris Paul, who when he went to the Phoenix Suns, who also had the young talent that needed help if you recall, he took them to the NBA Finals in his first year with them. So having a floor general can be absolutely vital at times. The Celtics are, by now, all too familiar with that player. They could look at how Steph Curry beat them with his limitless range in these finals, and opt to land a player with similar qualities. Combined with Jason Tatum, he'd give the Celtics one of the best offensive duos in the league. If the chemistry is able to be there, not unlike what the Suns had when Paul came to help out Devin Booker in year 1, it could be enough. With that said, we're sure they'd rather have one of the league's best offensive trios. There may be a way to land Lillard on the Celtics without trading Jaylen Brown, but it will be costly. Trade option number 2. Portland Trail Blazers receive forward center Al Horford, center Robert Williams III, forward Grant Williams, 2024 first-round pick, Boston, 2026 first-round pick, swap Boston, 2027 first-round pick, Boston. Boston Celtics receive guard Damian Lillard. This is more of a conventional rebuilding package for the Portland Trail Blazers. If they don't think Jaylen Brown can be their best player moving forward, this might appeal to them. The highlight here is probably Williams III. The man known as Time Lord is an archetypical modern defensive big guy. He's an elite rim protector who can survive switches onto wings. He's more of a ceiling raiser than a floor raiser, but when the Blazers are ready to win again, they'll be glad to have him. The same goes for Grant Williams. He's a 3-and-D forward who's willing to do the little things. The Blazers are landing 2 quality rotation players under 25 to press forward with following this deal. Of course, they're not enough to net Lillard on their own. That's why they're receiving so much draft capital here. On the other hand, if the Blazers rejected this trade, it might be because they're holding out for more picks. There are many who think the Celtics won't propose such a deal for one reason: Al Horford. He was vital in the early runs of Brad Stevens as coach when they consistently were in the Eastern Conference Finals. Then he left and everything fell apart until they brought him back. He has a veteran presence that helped get them to the finals and almost win the finals. So to get rid of him just to get Damian Lillard might be considered a betrayal, especially since they don't know that Lillard will be enough to help them win it all. As if all of this wasn't enough, there is one more trade option. Trade option number 3. Houston Rockets receive center forward Al Horford, center forward Robert Williams III. Portland Trail Blazers receive guard John Wall, a 2022 first-round pick, number 17 Houston, 2023 first-round pick Milwaukee via Houston, 2024 first-round pick Boston, 2026 first-round pick swap Boston, 2027 first-round pick Boston. Boston Celtics receive guard Damian Lillard. In all likelihood, it'll be difficult for the Houston Rockets to find a taker for John Wall's enormous contract this summer. On the other hand, if they're willing to attach 2 first-round picks to it, it might change the calculus. This deal finds them doing so in return for Robert Williams III. Poor Al Horford is likely to take a gap year as he did in Oklahoma City here unless the Rockets can find a separate trade for him. Between Williams III and Alperen Sengun, they won't have much time available at the center position. Meanwhile, the Blazers get little else but draft capital in this exchange. Luckily, they're getting a lot of it. 5 first-round picks and/or pick swaps is an impressive haul for an aging Lillard. This deal allows them to really start from scratch. It won't be an easy decision to make. The Blazers fielding a competitive group around Lillard has become as certain as death and taxes. In all likelihood, they'll endeavor to do the same in 2022-23. But if they do want to change, the options are there. For a time at least. Doing more, getting more. Here's the thing. A lot of people think that teams like the Celtics, the Lakers, the Bulls, and so on were destined for greatness and didn't really need to build themselves up. But that's a lie. Celtics history has proven that time and time again, when Red Auerbach was the coach, he had great teams but couldn't get over the hump. Then he drafted Bill Russell, and the rest was history. Larry Bird did get his first ring in his second year, but to get the second and third rings, they needed key additions on offense and defense in order to get past the teams that were in their way, including bringing in questionable talent like Bill Walton. Or look at Paul Pierce. No one denied his talent, but he couldn't get the job done on his own. Enter Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen, and the rest was pretty much history. There's no denying that the current Celtics squad has the talent to be the champs. They just so happened to go up against a team that was hungrier and more experienced than they were. Many Celtics greats like Larry Bird and Paul Pierce lost NBA Finals matches. The question is what you do next to try and not lose the next one. The Eastern Conference is going to be stacked next year, and the Celtics know there was some luck in getting to the finals this past season. So if they need to make a big move to get where they need to be, perhaps they should do it. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at the Boston Celtics and how they might try and get one of the best in the NBA right now to help shore up their team in order to get back to the NBA Finals and win them the next time around? Do you think they'll be able to pull off a big trade? Or do you think that there will be some issues in making it happen? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you next time on the channel.